Lydia here with Build Show Network, and let's talk about drywall lingo. So when I say drywall lingo, it's just kind of some very common terms that us in the industry use. It can help you communicate with your finishers, and then also if you're just trying to do some projects, you can have a better understanding of how things go. So first things first, this is drywall. Drywall's up on the board. We can't glue here. It will not pass inspection. So here in Montana, or at least where we are in the city of Bozeman and Belgrade, they do not allow glue. So you will see a lot of screws, obviously, in all of our jobs. The screws are what hold the board to the wall. So all of those screws get hit at least 2 times. It's 2 times for a level 3, 3 times for a level 4. And we're not going any further out than just these screws. So when we spot, we usually use a 6-inch and do a line about that thick or so. So we're doing that whole row, but we do it over and over, and we stripe here instead of single spot because we have an immense amount of screws. And then when we're looking at the other parts of the wall, this is a butt joint. So as you can tell, this wall is long. The board is not long enough to span the entire wall. So when that happens, you have 2 boards that butt up together, and it's called a butt joint. Here, we also V our butt joints. It's kind of controversial because people say you don't need to, just takes some extra time. We always V our butt joints. What it does is it allows for expansion and contraction with those boards because the board will move depending on the moisture in the air, temperature, humidity, all of those things. So we do this to prevent cracking, and then instead of having them super tight up against each other, they have a little bit of wiggle room, which creates less cracking and less issues down the line. So butt joints typically are just like this, butt against butt. There's a butt down here. You do need to be staggering your butt joints, not railroading them, unless you're using butt board or another product that's allowing you to stagger. Because if these two are just totally railroaded, it'll crack down the whole entire joint. And this right here, oh, and I forgot to mention, when we coat these, we are pre-filling, we are taping, and then we usually go out about 12 inches on each side. So this butt joint, because they're rocky, these have no bevel. Like the flat down here has a bevel for the tape. These butt joints don't have a bevel. It's just flat against flat. So when you start building up your tape on top of there and then you start building up your coats, they can get rocky. So these guys, we pre-fill, we tape, and then we go 12 inches, and then 12 inches down the center, and then pull the whole thing by hand for a smooth wall. But these guys we're not coating out to here with these guys. We're, keeping them pretty decent, and we're trying to get rid of that hump there in the center. So this is the flat. Flats are on both sides of the board. So as you can tell, there's a whole sheet right here, and then we got a bevel here, and then we have a bevel up at the top where the angle is. So the bevel here is made to hide your tape. So unlike the butt joints that are just straight up flat, this has a bevel. So your tape will fit here, and then it's made so you can slowly, increase your coat size and start hiding that tape then that you've used to tape the seam with. You have to tape the seams. It's kind of an interesting question I get sometimes. What happens if you just mud it? It cracks. So the tape goes into that seam right there and joins the boards together, and then kind of acts like, it's paper and glue, and then all the mud goes on top and then hides the tape, and then hides that bevel and then feathers out that joint. So flat is bevel against bevel. That's how, the majority of the seams are. Butts are here and there, but even with the ceiling, you'll have long flats, and with the walls, you'll have long flats. We do hang these horizontally, just what we do. If we hung this wall vertically, you'd have like 5 flats. This way we have 2 butts and 1 long flat, which makes for less finishing on our end. Where the ceiling and the wall come together, or 2 walls come together, that's called an angle. That is just a straight up a 90-degree angle. That's a normal angle. We run angle tools in those. Anything that's off from a 90-degree angle, we call off angles. Those typically take a specialty tape. They can't take the paper tape because they need kind of that extra strength that you get from some of the specialty off angle tapes. So all of this stuff we tape with either paper. You can tape with fiber fuse, you can tape with mesh. Don't put mesh in the angles though. Mesh in angles is a big no-no, paper only in those. And you also can't use fiber fuse in the angles because it will rip. So pretty much paper only in the angles. But that's an angle, that's a butt, it's a flat. And then too, when we're looking at this wall, we're not covering every single surface with mud. We're going to be, coating our flats out to about 12 inches. We're going to be coating our butts out each 12 inches, and then our screws will all get 2 to 3 coats so that we're keeping very slim. So when we look at this, we should have a nice pattern going on here of what's coated. So let's go check out our room. We've got some stuff taped, and then we have some stuff coated so you guys can get an idea of what everything looks like with tape on it. All right, so here's our room. Here is, here's our flat taped, here's our butt taped, and then there's our angles taped. So when we are taping, we have a specific order that we go in because we like to envelope the tape. So we tape our butts first, and then our flats go over the top, covering up that rough edge on the butts, covering up that cut seam, and then our angles go over the butts and the flats, making sure those are all tied in together too. So that way we're not having any loose tape just kind of hanging around when we're coating or causing problems. So as you can see here, we just have the flat taped, we just have the butt taped, and then the screws are spotted once. And then if we whip around to this side, I can kind of see it's really hot today, so we have had some shrinkage with the mud, but we'll kind of look at this guy right here. So this would be a flat coated. This is first coat. So as you can see the bevels there. We're trying to keep all of our mud focused just right here in this area. And then here's our butt joint that's just split. So it's split on both sides, and then it'll get run up the center. And again, we're not coating the entire surface of the wall. If we were doing that, that would be called a level 5 finish. And this right now is just a level 2. So there's just a coat on everything. And then our angles are taped, and then they will get coated with an angle head and the angle box later. But that's pretty much it. So we got flats, butts, screws, angles. Oh yeah, and then corner bead goes on the outside here, but we're not talking about corner bead today. But I guess that's kind of drywall lingo too, isn't it? So this would be an outside corner. So this would get corner bead. So your corner bead will go and cap on that cover of that board there. And then depending on what kind of a corner bead you're installing is going to depend on how your hangers are hanging the board. So if you're doing bullnose, chamfer, anything kind of special, it's going to be hung differently. This is hung for square right now. And we'll kind of get into that in another episode because you definitely need to be communicating about what you're doing with your job. So, but this is all hung for square. That's what gets put on these jobs. And we actually will be putting the corner bead on after everything is taped. So that's kind of the order of operations. So drywall lingo. Hopefully it helps you communicate better with your subs, or, communicate better on what you're wanting done or what needs touch up or any of those things that are going on with your job. So that's it for me this week. I hope that helped, and I hope you guys have a great week. And you can catch me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok under Drywall Shorty.